Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good day. It is March 4th, and today I am back here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about our next upcoming storm systems because next week is starting to look very interesting. Uh, Continues to look more interesting every day, and we will likely see some severe weather next week. Now, where exactly it happens, that's very uncertain, but I think we're going to see some severe weather next week. But yeah, so let's get started. So today we actually do have a marginal for severe weather in areas of western Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, and not really a big deal. What we have is we have a closed or a cutoff upper level low that's going to be moving southeast, which is going to be bringing a chance of some severe storms. With main our primary threats with these storms is going to be large hail and damaging winds. I think large hail is likely going to be the main threat with these due to really steep lapse rates with this in front of this upper level low. So yeah, the SPC thinks wind and hail are also going to be significant threats. Now, let's go over to the models. We see the GFS has this upper level low right here. Now, this is this afternoon. Let's go to around right now. So right now, we have the cutoff low in around southeastern Colorado. And this is the upper level low. The surface low is most likely in a different area. Yeah, you can see right to the southeast of this is where we're going to be seeing the most of our severe weather today. And this is nothing like a severe weather outbreak or anything, just a marginal risk, which a marginal risk means we're going to see isolated severe storms. That's kind of how I normally think about it. A slight risk for me normally means scattered severe thunderstorms. And yes, we see the upper level, nothing significant though, but as you can see, this jet stream is terrible for severe weather. Which it's good though. We did have a lot of severe weather, or not a lot of it. We did have a good amount though, kind of end of February. But the jet stream ridges way up into Canada, and we have a trough across the northeast. What we want to see is something like this, but on a bigger scale, maybe, kind of like this. Now that would be nice for like a Midwestern severe weather event in like Missouri, Illinois, that area. But this is what we have tonight for our severe weather. Now this is going to be heading further to the southeast. It's going to start the weekend, and then it dies, no longer cut off at all. And then by Saturday, it kind of collides with the jet stream, and weakens a lot. But with this giant trough, we're still going to have kind of an unsettled pattern across the south. And yeah, so we go later, it continues, it doesn't really get pushed out. Our ridge kind of gets smashed up into a little bit. It kind of gets smashed in between two different areas. Our trough across the northeast and kind of not really a trough right here, kind of more of a zonal flow. To the west of it, it's kind of getting smashed in here. So this will kind of continue to bring warmer air up in the areas like Texas, up into even Canada, through areas like Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, like I said before, Texas and Oklahoma. And as we go into next week, though, it's going to start to get a lot more active. We have this first trough coming in. Now, this one doesn't look extremely impressive for severe weather. You can see we don't really have much divergence with this at all. It's mainly positive tilted, which also, I don't really like positive tilted troughs when I'm looking for severe weather. But once we start to get more of a negative tilt, that's when I start to think maybe of a severe weather outbreak. But there's much more factors that play into that. But we go in. This is pretty far out. This is late next weekend. The jet stream has moved further to the south, so this is going to help us have a better chance for severe weather. I'm thinking mainly this area right here. Now, where exactly it completely sets up, it's really uncertain at this time because keep in mind this is a week out. We are getting closer to this though, and so probably by maybe Sunday, Monday, maybe Saturday, we're going to start to have some more details about exactly where we could see the biggest severe weather chances. So yeah, but even pretty far out. This is around this is pretty sure this is 9 days out. In fact, I'm positive it is. We have a positive tilted trough right here. Nothing really significant though. Just a pretty strong cutoff low with a lot of moisture probably. But yeah, so let's take a look at dew points for next week to see what we could have. And because that's kind of an important thing for severe weather this time of year. If we want to get severe weather in pretty much the south, it's important this time of year, and even up into the Midwest. It's much more important in the Midwest because temperatures are, temperatures are colder, which means there's not, the air can't hold as much moisture. So dews will be lower. But if we can get enough moisture into the Midwest, we could see maybe a chance of some severe weather next week. Now, this is next Monday. We have a surface low kind of setting up to the east in eastern Colorado, eastern Wyoming. Strong southerly winds, not strong, but pretty moderate. We have dews in the 40s and 50s coming up into maybe Iowa, that area. We can go to, get my cursor here, we can see almost dews of 50, but kind of in the Des Moines area. Said that wrong, but yeah. And we have 40s making it all the way into western Ohio with this, and even some 60s getting into southern Texas. Now, we go later. This is just a day later. This is when it could start to get interesting. We have kind of two areas of surface lows coming together. A large cold front probably like this, maybe a warm front like this, some kind of surface low right here. And in front of this, we have warm air coming up from the Gulf, moist air especially, and dews in the 60s in Texas. We have dews in the 50s that can get all the way up almost in North Dakota. That's pretty significant this time of year. And dews of almost in the 50s in eastern Kansas. Now let's take a sounding in front of this cold front. Let's take it right here. This doesn't look perfect because this doesn't look like a perfect setup yet. Take a sounding in front of this cold front. That's not very good, of course. We have no instability. Dew point's pretty low. And yeah, that's pretty terrible sounding. But as we go later, this is Wednesday afternoon now. Surface low once again right here. Our first one's moved off to the north. It's kind of in this area now. Pretty weak. We have another one right here in kind of the Texas panhandle starting to set up. And with that, seems like this one has a cold front, kind of setting up like that. Maybe some kind of stationary boundary, and then we have a cold front to the south. And maybe a dry line. That looks interesting for sure. But we have dews 60s, middle 60s in eastern Texas. Almost 60 coming up in areas like St. Louis, almost in the Chicago, mid 50s in Chicago. That's pretty significant for dew points this time of year. So warm, moist air in this area. We take some soundings. Let's take one, central Illinois. Pretty, or not very good. Maybe a very slight bit of instability. But very low instability. Shear, pretty, I guess it's okay. Not really. Not the best looking though. So overall, that's not that good of a sounding. Now let's take one right to the east of this surface low where we have dews of almost 60. So this is a much better sounding overall. We have a little bit better cape. Now it's still pretty bad. We have a higher dew point. Not too high though. Only 58. And shear once again is moderate. So yeah, we can see next week we're likely gonna have a better chance for severe weather. Now this is actually next Thursday. Cold front setting up right here, warm front right here, low pressure right here. It's a pretty classic baroclinic storm system. And let's stick one up here in northeastern Texas. Let's see what we have. This is not a good sounding. We have a lot of caping, or a lot of capping. Sorry. Now let's take one right up by the surface low, kind of along the warm front, right where we have that triple point. This is a marginal severe sounding. We have a 59-degree dew point. That's pretty decent. Shear, not the best. But this is by the triple point, though, so that's going to be an interesting spot. This is exactly a week out, though, so pretty far out. But it does look like severe weather chances are going to start to open up, kind of in this area, as we go into next week. Yeah, so that's next Thursday, the GFS model. Let's go to the European, see what the European is saying. So the European has warm, moist air starting to get going Tuesday. We have dews in the 50s, making it all the way up in the northwestern Iowa, that area. The European has actually a further north solution than the GFS. You can see we have dews of almost middle, we have dews in the middle 50s in Minnesota, central Minnesota also, so that's pretty significant. We have a large, or low pressure, this is Wednesday afternoon, this is actually only 6 days out. We have a large kind of, not really strong cold front, but we have a moderate cold front stretching all the way down into Texas. Might actually kind of turn stationary in this area. We'll have to see. And then strong winds coming up into Illinois, Wisconsin. And with that, we have warm, moist air coming up from the Gulf and dew points in the 50s throughout most of this area. Almost 60 maybe in eastern Kansas. And we can't take soundings with the European model because I don't have subscription with Pivotal Weather. I'm probably going to work on getting one of those soon. Yeah, so we see that. And then this is a week out now. We seem to have a pretty strong cold front here. Now, this could favor some linear development, but you can see we have our low way up in Canada. Cold front like this. In fact, actually, maybe this might not be a good situation right along the cold front. We might have maybe some cold air overlapping with that. We'll have to see. Doesn't seem like we have any strong high pressures though to bring much cold air behind this down. So yeah, if this is a perfect setup, we could probably get some winter precip out of this, but it's not. What I'm talking about is maybe like the back end of the front, if we have a little bit of moisture behind. Some of that, sometimes we have that case in the south or the central U.S. where that sometimes switches to snow on the backside. I don't think we're going to have that situation with this. We don't really have a good source of cold air. And it doesn't seem like a perfect scenario for that type of thing either. We do have warm air in front of this front. Maybe we could get some storms with this. We'll have to see. Let's see what the European is saying for precipitation type. Because the European looks very interesting for that, for precipitation type. So next Thursday, it has a lot of storms firing up across areas of Illinois down through Oklahoma. That's what the cold front I was just talking about. The low pressure, though, is very it doesn't look too well. We have a series of fronts in eastern Canada. Probably a low around right here. Cold front coming down like this. Maybe even a stationary front. Now that I think about it. We have a few more lows pop out along this front. And this one actually right here, the European has bringing some winter weather to areas of southern Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and Ohio. Now, we'll have to see what that does as we get closer to this event. We have to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow. But yes, goodbye.